It is day 2 of Solana Breakpoint over in Abu Dhabi. The gathering is now the talk of the town with ADFW all wrapped up. Our contributor Rachel Pether is on the ground at Breakpoint. She joins us now with more. Hi, Rachel.
We're here at Solana Breakpoint 2025 in Abu Dhabi, and I am joined by none other than the GM of payments for the Solana Foundation, Sheraz Shere. Sheraz, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, GM of payments, Solana Foundation. It is a very big market. People have been saying for a long time the institutions are coming, but tell me a little bit more about what the institutions in the payment space looks like.
Yeah, well, I would say in the last 6 months after stablecoin legislation passed in the US, it's been a tsunami of activity. I would say prior to that, there was a lot of innovation teams like experimenting around the edges. Suddenly with legislation passing, everybody is jumping in and actually building on blockchain rails. The primary sort of use cases today are cross-border money movement with stablecoins. So a lot of remittance companies are jumping on board because it's much easier to move money across borders and not have to rely on correspondent banks. So yeah, it's remittance companies, it's payment processors, it's embedded finance companies, it's merchant processors. Everybody, you name it, everybody is jumping on board.
And so you said those are some of the use cases for today. With the regulation, are you seeing the use cases also evolve at the same sort of speed in terms of what we might see in the future?
Yeah, I would say at the forefront right now is probably cross-border remittances. So P2P consumer remittances, payouts, so marketplace payouts, contractor payouts, and then B2B, so businesses. And then tied into that is things like providing credit on chain. So like fronting money, providing credit facilities using stablecoins. That's sort of on the front lines. What you're seeing on sort of the next wave is banks starting to think about tokenized deposits and some of these use cases that are a little bit newer, and a lot of stablecoin issuance. So the stablecoin wars are definitely heating up. Beyond USDC and Tether and PYUSD, you have a lot of financial institutions saying, hey, I'm going to issue my own stablecoin. So just recently, Fiserv announced that they're launching a stablecoin on Solana, Fiserv being a major global payments processor. And similarly, Western Union, same thing, one of the biggest remittance companies in the world, issuing their own stablecoin on Solana, because not only did they see the benefit of this as a payment rail, but they say like we should own the asset as well, right? And we should have control over the asset that is sort of powering all this.
Totally. And also from like a client acquisition and retention perspective, if you're looking at that next generation
Absolutely.
of who might be using it. And if I am an issuer and I'm more looking to get into the payment space, what are some of the considerations that I should have when I'm looking at the layer ones, when I'm looking at the
So
underlying?
yeah, that's the crux of, I think, what every institution is thinking about right now. And part of our job is doing this education on what makes Solana different and differentiated. Foundationally, and historically, the North Star of Solana has always been performance. So fast, cheap, scalable. And so that's sort of table stakes. There are other L1s that, are maybe not at Solana levels, but competitive in that. I think the next thing to look at is some of the core primitives that sit just on top of the core protocol level. And Solana has several of these. One of them I've talked about ad nauseum is called token extensions. And token extensions is a way to issue an asset. So as I mentioned, Western Union and Fiserv and even PayPal, all three of them have issued their stablecoin using token extensions. Why token extensions are important is it allows a regulated institution to imbue a lot of rules at the asset level. So you can put controls over who can touch the asset. You can do things like reverse transactions. You can have confidential transfers. So a lot of the reasons why financial institutions in the past were hesitant to go onto public blockchains, they used to say, let's just do a private chain, have been mitigated because you can now put the controls you need in the asset level and still run on a public blockchain. So long-winded way of answering your question. Solana provides both the baseline and fast, cheap, scalable, right? Transactions settle in 400 milliseconds. The chain can scale to hundreds of thousands of transactions per second, and the fees are, for, 1/1000th of a cent. And then on top of that, you have this layer of tooling that gives you regulatory and compliance controls.
That's super interesting. You mentioned the regulatory and compliance piece. We've obviously seen a great deal of evolution, excellent news coming out from the regulatory space, particularly in the US. Are there more things that need to happen in the regulatory space to bring even more players in on the payment side?
I think the basic guardrails are there because stablecoins are, at least from a payments perspective, which is sort of where I focus on, stablecoins are sort of at the heart of payments, right? Payments were never about transferring native crypto assets like Bitcoin or Doge. No one is using that for payments, at least not yet. So if you see that stablecoins, digital dollars, are the key innovation on blockchain for payments, then having a regulatory framework for stablecoins was probably the most important thing, at least in the U.S. And now that we have that in the U.S., that is probably the main thing that is sort of enabling adoption. So I would say that I'm sure there are things on the margins that still could be worked on from a regulatory perspective, but the big one is there, the Genius Act. And if you look at what's happening, the announcements of companies and the commercial activity, you can see that everybody is now feels like they have a green light to build on this infrastructure.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting times for sure. And congratulations on your recent announcements. I mean, they're really blue chip names that are building on the Solana network. So thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.